All right, hey, and good. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Sherman Ray, and this is the Godstream podcast. Hey, want to welcome you all to the broadcast today. Move this over here a little closer to me. Hey, so we're going to talk a little bit today about a pretty late breaking news right now, and it was about the former President Donald Trump being indicted on 10 counts from anything from, I don't know, walking his dog across the street to RICO violations. And we want to, this is not a political show, folks. It really is not. But it is a very pro-America show. And we want to talk to you about some of the things that we think are very concerning to our way of life. So when this indictment came down against Donald Trump today, it really just harkened me back to a time in America that, I don't know. I think it's scary. It's very scary, and we've got to talk about it. So we've just got a few minutes. We'll talk about it a little bit. Before we do that, I just want to remind you all, folks, go to our website. It's godstream.org. That's godstream.org. We've actually kind of updated the website just a little bit more. Every time we get on the website, we're updating it, but updating a little bit more. Go to our channels, some of the top-rated channels, that kind of stuff, TV shows and prophetic and sermons and all kinds of cool stuff, and especially music. Literally thousands of posts from music. I mean, anybody from CC Winans up to I don't know, Hispanic people, Filipino, that kind of stuff. But today we want to talk about some political stuff, and we're not being political here, folks. We're actually just kind of noticing what's going on. I was watching the shows that were talking about that by the Democrat Party basically being relentless in their attacks on the former president, and also he's the top-rated Republican candidate running for office, that what they're doing, and this is Alan, oh gosh, what's his name? Oh gosh, I forgot the guy's name. He's a pretty big league attorney, Alan Dershowitz, saying that that basically what the Democrats are doing is they're trying to, it's election interference by them trying to get rid of Donald Trump and not allowing him to run. That they've got so many indictments against this one guy that it's pretty obvious that what they're doing, they're really just trying to get him so that he'll never run for president again, and they want to put him in jail for like 1,000 years. And so one of the things that as I was watching the news, they were saying is that that something like this has never happened in history, and as a result of it, that they are going to change the way America is. Well, but see, here's the thing about it, folks. This has actually happened before. And many of you probably will remember this as I tell you about it, but this is nothing new to the Democrat Party. And so when the Republican Party was established in 1853, their first president was Abraham Lincoln. And that it was really it freaked everybody out because they knew what Abraham Lincoln was going to do. Democrats knew if Abraham Lincoln would get into office that he would free the slaves. The Republican Party was the abolitionist party, and their set goal was to end slavery in America. It was going to end it in the new territories, ultimately end it for everybody. And so that happened. The Civil War was fought, and the North won. Slavery was abolished by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, and didn't make Democrats very happy. Not even close. As a matter of fact, they were so upset about the whole thing that they set into a process into and I can't prove this, but I can just see it. But you can just see what happened. The first thing that happened, they wanted to make sure that Democrats said we might have lost the war, but we will ultimately win, or excuse me, that we lost the battle, the Civil War, but we will not lose the war. What I mean by that, they lost the Civil War, but the Democrats, kind of like the Chinese, have a 200-year plan. So we thought the Chinese were the only people that had the 200-year plan. No, Democrats have the same thing. The same thing where they're saying, no, we're going to take over America. And when we take over America, we're going to then have ultimate power, and we will not relinquish that power. So first thing they did after losing the Civil War is they began their assault on America. And the first thing they did was, they assassinated Abraham Lincoln. 1865, John Wilkes Booth, who was a white supremacist. Booth was so against the idea of equality, and this was an article that was written, that he was so against the idea of equality, which is something the Republican Party fought for, died for in the Civil War, was the equality of blacks and whites. Even though Democrats say they're all about equality, they're for equity. They're not for equality. They're for equity. There's a difference. He so embraced white supremacy that he thought it was grounds for killing Lincoln. So right off the bat, Democrats enacted the ultimate nuclear option by killing the President of the United States. That was, once again, it was a nuclear option that they exercised to get their way. Every time, it's funny, you ever notice that, folks? When Democrats don't get their way, what they do is they go all out and they exercise this nuclear option. They'll do whatever it takes to get what they want. The next thing they did was, because the 13th Amendment had been voted into law, 14th Amendment. And as a result of that, they killed Lincoln. The second thing they did is they began to say, okay, well, all these blacks are going to, they're going to start voting, and we don't want blacks voting, because the first elected blacks were all Republicans. All blacks were Republicans back in the 1860s, and even up to Reconstruction, which is 1860s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, all blacks were Republicans, because they knew that was who was on their side, the Republican Party. And so Democrats enacted Jim Crow laws, killing blacks, the KKK, killing blacks, Jim Crow laws, apartheid, segregation, whatever you want to call it, folks, racist things. They were the ones who started the KKK. So I know a lot of people say, oh, the KKK is the Republicans. No, it's not. They are still Democrats, folks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But remember, John Wilkes Booth was a white supremacist who killed the Republican president of the United States. Democrats have not changed. You look at from 1865 all the way up to 1965-ish, Democrats opposed every equal rights piece of legislation there was, up until the Johnson administration, when Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act. But Republicans had tried to, in 1857, in the 1860s, tried to get the ball rolling again, because Democrats had done everything they could to make sure blacks could not vote, could not be on the same side of the street. They did everything they could to stop blacks from being equal members of society. Let's fast forward. I got to make this short because we don't want to take all day long on this, folks. But the Democrat Party has done everything it could to advance their narrative on America. 1973, abortion laws. Okay, what did abortion do? Well, it killed people. It just they wanted to make sure blacks were still dying. And so the person who was the big proponent of abortion was, what was her name? Oh, gosh. Anne, I forgot the lady's name now. I'll look it up here in just a minute. Many of you know who she is. But she was the leader of, I just had her name in my head. She was the founder of Planned Parenthood. She was an avowed euthanasiast. She was the one who said, guess what? We got to thin out the herd here. We got to get rid of all the weak people, which meant blacks. And up until, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, she was on all of their stuff. She was still on all of their stuff, even though she was a racist euthanasist, or what do they call those people? People who just want to kill, eugenicists, who want to get rid of black people, okay? Democrats have not changed their stripes here, folks. They've just never changed their stripes. And now we can move forward, folks. We keep moving forward. Every time you see something that is going to hurt America, it involves black people and Democrats. I don't know why they continue to think that black people will be the useful idiots, but it seems to be working right now because 95% of blacks vote now Democrat. We can go into the reason why that is, but we don't have time for the show right now. But I can give you documentation on that too. But, Sanger is her name. Margaret Sanger is the lady who was the founder of Planned Parenthood. And you can look her up and find out what her background is. We move forward, folks. Abortion, welfare. Now it's the LGBTQ thing, because it was civil rights first, and then it went, let's mix in there the LGBTQ thing. Black Lives Matters. Now it is the big swing for globalism, and globalism basically is, they're saying basically, hey, guess what? We want everybody in here so that we can build up our ranks as Democrats, so that we can have power, ultimate power, forever. Now, let me backtrack just a second here, folks, because I really want to tie a bow around this. All of this time, Democrats have been infiltrating, and I'm writing a book on this, so I don't want to give away too much. Democrats, since the 1860s, have been infiltrating the federal government in every mountain. And this is a Lance Wallnau thing. So, Lance, you weren't original to this. Democrat Party was actually original to this. The 7 mountains of society. Entertainment, politics, business, you name it, Democrats are in it. Education, social media. Democrats have been able to weasel their way into every fabric of American society so that they are the career, quote-unquote, career politicians and career journalists and career judiciary people in society. So that now, as society is trying to move forward, they can't because of one thing. The people who head up all of these organizations, whether it's social media, whether it's entertainment, whether it's the government, whether it's the Department of Justice, whether it is the military, whether it is the industrial complex, the spy networks, those are all Democrats. And guess what they're doing? They're pushing the agenda of the Democrat Party. Why is that? Because they want power. Ultimately, they want power. Now, how does this figure in with Donald Trump? Donald Trump is the guy who's trying to weed them out, and Democrats know it. They know that Donald Trump is not going to take anymore. He's already tried before, and this time now they got him pissed off. I shouldn't say pissed off. They got him upset. And if he gets into office now, folks, knowing what he knows now, he's probably just going to fire everybody. He's going to fire everybody in the DOJ. He's going to fire everybody in the FBI. He's going to fire everybody in the judiciary. He's going to fire every state's attorney general. Everybody is going to go in one fell swoop. He might just go get into office and say, "Where's my pen at?" Everybody's gone. Get them all out. And what would that do? That would be a clean sweep of everything that Democrats have worked on for over 200 years. Mark my words, folks. Democrats have dug a hole that they have to go all in now. That's why they're trying to get rid of Donald Trump with everything they can. Today was just the final. It's probably not even the final nail in this coffin, because they brought in 13 counts or 10 counts against him in Georgia. It's probably not the last thing they're doing. They're really trying to tighten the noose. So, folks, here's the deal. There's a bright side to this. What can we do to take back America? What can Christians do to take back America? One is we need to pray. Okay, we need to really pray that God, oh Lord God, look down from heaven and give us influence, give us something to do to help this country out. Because if America goes, guys, guess what? The world goes. We are the shining light. We're that city on the top of a hill that is shining. Okay, so we got to pray. But number two is we have to convince Democrats that what they are doing and what they're involved in. These are not the heads up. You're probably not going to convince those guys. You're not going to convince the Joe Bidens. You're not going to convince, those people that are up in the FBI, those people that are making a lot of money off this whole thing. Okay, you're not going to convince Hillary Clinton or Nancy Pelosi. You're not going to convince those guys. They're totally invested. They've sold their soul, and their consciences are seared. But you can convince your neighbor who's a Democrat, and you can convince them that what they're supporting is evil. If you're a pastor, you need to get with your black pastors and convince them that if they support the Democrat Party, that they literally are marking themselves for destruction, that they are supporting an evil party. Anybody that would support abortion, taking a man's right to make his own living with welfare, coercing people to not get married but to live on the government dole, is evil. It's just evil. You've got to be able to convince Democrats and get them to admit that what they're doing is evil and is not helping America. As a matter of fact, it's hurting not only America, but it's hurting themselves. No one can admit that they're better off now under Democrat rule and in the cities and in the on the world stage under a Democrat rule. There's absolutely no way somebody with whose spirit and whose conscience is not seared. There's another one. Lord God, just unsear their minds, unsear their hearts. Okay, because if they're seared, guess what, folks? If they're just completely sold out to the devil, there's nothing you can do about it. Just pray that it doesn't get to their kids. But we've got to pray and convince. Pray one. Number two, talk to your neighbors. Talk to your neighbors and say, look, guys, I love you. I do. I love you. You're my friend. You're a liberal. You say you love the Lord, but I'll tell you right now, if you're supporting the Democrat Party, you're going to go to hell. You're going to hell. I cannot stop it. Nobody ultimately can say, guess what, to judge. I mean, people say, oh, don't judge me. Okay, I can judge this. If you're supporting somebody who is giving their child up to the fire, you're supporting a party that is supporting the killing of babies in abortion. It's not women's rights. It's not women's privilege. It's not women's health, reproductive. It's killing a baby. Okay, that's all there is to it. There's no. You can say all you want about it, but at the end, you know it, I know it, and God knows it. That you're killing a baby. That is idolatry. It's a Canaanite ritual. You're idol worshiping, and you're worshiping at the idol of the devil himself. And that's what the Democrat Party is doing. And if you've got a black friend, you got a white friend who is a Democrat, you need to convince them that what they're doing is idol worship, and they're going to hell. That's all there is to it. And you got to do it in love, folks. You cannot pussyfoot around on this and go, oh gosh, I want to be nice to you. You can't be nice. If you love them, you need to let them know you're going to hell. I cannot help you, and I can't be a part of this. I can't be your friend. I can't sit there and watch you do this. I'm telling you as a friend, you are so close to hell, If you died today, you would burn in hell the rest of your life. That's what the Democrat Party is. That's what the Democrat Party is. That's the way we can take back America. And we've got to do it for Jesus Christ. Anyways, folks, this has been Sherman Ray, and this has been the Godstream podcast. I want to thank you all for being a part of the show, folks. Join us again, a couple more days when we have another Godstream podcast, okay? We'll talk to you later, folks. Bye-bye.